welcome back for the fourth time to your new favorite Magic the Gathering mono black draft chaff themed podcast, Bogstompers. We're your hosts of the coast. Everybody, please introduce yourselves, starting with me. I'm your maitre d' for this evening, your maestro of all things magic, Joe, Joseph, Joey, these lovely content creators and magic maestros themselves. We'll use those probably interchangeably through the episode. I use he, him. The rest of you folks, let's throw the ball down. Who's coming next?
Yeah, I am Bobby, and I use they and he pronouns. And the ball's bouncing right over to our third co-host over there. Whoa, just hit it.
Wow, I think
Wow.
I,
Did it
it
hit
broke
Bowser?
studio light and also a window. No,
Oh,
he's okay.
okay, that's good.
He's right behind me.
Oh.
I'm Evan or Ev. I use he, him pronouns. Similarly to Joe, Joey, Joseph, Evan and Ev will probably be used interchangeably throughout the course of this evening, morning, afternoon, time in the bath, whenever you're listening to us here at the Bog discuss cardboard.
And with that out of the way, for those of you psychopaths who like to start podcasts at the fourth episode, we've had a few good discussions so far that I'm sure my co-host will go into in a moment. But let's figure out what we're doing this morning, evening, night, whenever you're listening. Ev, you are the architect of this episode, and I think we'd have you introduce the subject for this lovely episode. So tell us all about it.
Of course, of course. I have designed and machinated and thought very carefully and hard about what we should discuss today on this here podcast. We've talked about really terrible cards. We've talked about franchises we believe should be enshrined, or maybe perhaps not enshrined in Magic forever and always. We've talked about how we did at our respective Tarkir Dragon pre-releases or lack thereof, and the set as a whole. But today, I think we should talk about Magic cards. So this podcast is about a lot of different types of Magic cards. You got lands, you got enchantments. I don't have to list all the rest, but you guys know them. But most specifically, we're going to be talking about creatures today. There are a lot of creatures in Magic. I don't have the number off the top of my head. Joe, do you?
I know roughly how many cards there are. Also, I will say, nice sidestep there about having to so you could avoid talking about schemes and planes and
Yeah, battles.
Vanguards.
Vanguard is important, yeah. Token, not a game type, not a card type, just a term for a game piece. Surprise, surprise, there's like 11 different card types in Magic, even though only 7 come up in normal gameplay. But my ignorance aside on how many creatures are in the game
4.
themselves, let's...
There are 4.
Oh, 4. There are 4.
There are
yeah.
actually 9 creatures in Magic, and we're talking about all of them today.
That's correct. Today, me and my fellow co-hosts are going to be going through our top 3 creature types in Magic the Gathering, as well as our top 3 creatures from those creature types. So, without any further using of the word 3, Bobby, would you like to take us away with your first pick to share with me and our lovely other co-host?
Yeah, I would. I think I gotta start not where it all began, and I think a lot of people go into Magic and their first deck is a kindred deck, right? Like, especially nowadays, I think it's pretty easy to convince people, like, hey, this is a cat deck, this is a horse deck, this is a goblin deck, this is a dragon deck, this is a frog deck, and frogs are not what got me into Magic, but something I came to a little bit later. I don't entirely know why. I believe it started with Chub Toad, an obsession with the traditional children's rhyme on it. Chub Toad, at the door, run away quick or you'll run no more. But we're not talking about Chub Toad today. The task was to talk about our favorite card of our favorite 3 types, and I think Spore Frog has got to take the cake for the greatest frog card of all time. Hopefully you're not surprised by this pick, though I'd love to hear your frog opinions down in the comments below. Spore Frog is a 1 green mana, 1/1 creature frog, originally printed in Prophecy. It has the simple text, sacrifice Spore Frog, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. A simple fog effect, except on a creature, and it has just so many possibilities. You can't go wrong with this card. No one wants to attack you. No one wants to attack. There's so many politics to play. You can throw it in a frogs deck. You can throw it in a kind of any random group hug deck, a control deck. I don't know. I am partial to fog effects, especially in commander metas where a well-timed fog can essentially be a silence or even like a time walk in certain scenarios. But I don't know. I'm wondering what you guys feel about Spore Frog. Is it truly wonderful, or is it so annoying to sit across from? Because I don't normally sit across from this card. I feel like I'm much higher on it than other people. Like, I'll play it in Frogs, I'll play it in other commander decks. What is your impression when someone casts this card turn 1?
I'm gonna throw some gauntlets down here. We're gonna start a feud on this podcast. We're officially feuding, me and you, Bobby.
Finally.
Awesome.
First of all, you're a poser. If I looked up frogs on EDH Rec, this would be one of the top frogs. I don't think you're really in the hipster meta of frogs, first of all. And second of all, the reason you don't sit across from it often is you're annoying. You're obnoxious. The fact that you said you're really big on fogs in this game, and you don't know why people don't play them more because they stop combat altogether. That's why. Because it's annoying. It shuts the games down, and it lets you twiddle your thumbs and play politics. Not politics, solitaire. And politics. It does help with that too. And even though you're a Rakdos player, perhaps physically, power at any cost, spiritually, you are a conniving little simic fuck who loves nothing more than controlling everything and getting to do everything yourself. And I think that's really emblematic here in Spore Frog. Now, I apologize to any viewers who might find that a bit rude. If you love Spore Frog, better be because it's a pretty cute little dude. Any other reason, I'm side-eyeing you. I'm going to come out and say it. That's just me. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to speak for the rest of us who like to swing our creatures, like to turn them sideways. But Ev, maybe you'll be the moderate voice here. You'll be the center of the aisle here, the centrist fence sitter. Who knows? Or maybe you'll have some cojones and stand up for your old pal Joey Joseph.
I'm going to stand up for myself. I love swinging in big creatures. It's one of my favorite things to do in Magic. I like winning games through combat and turning my big red creatures sideways, and this stops me from doing that, and that's unfortunate. As a frog, good frog, cute little guy, like you said, Joey. However, there was a game we played, I think this summer.
Yeah.
Joe, I don't know if you were there or not, but Bobby copied Spore Frog and gave a Spore Frog to everyone at the table, and it made it an awful stalemate. I don't remember how you copied it or gave us tokens or whatever of it, but it sucked.
Yeah, I cast Tempt with Reflections before.
Oh, sure.
This is still to some degree what my frog deck is, but I had a frog deck before Bloomburrow came out. Bloomburrow, it was like, I don't know. Bloomburrow,
Hey,
one of us is a bird player, one of us is a frog player. It's Bloomburrow. But I cast Tempt with Reflections on Spore Frog, and everyone said yes to the tempting offer. So everyone created one Spore Frog copy, and I created 4 Spore Frog copies, which in addition to the one that was already there, this was 8 Spore Frogs on the battlefields, making just no one want to attack. That's the problem with Spore Frog. That's why I love it so much, is because it's not just a one-time fog. It is the threat of a one-time fog. It has so much like mind games and mind fuckery that I adore it. I think, if you're playing Spore Frog and were offended by anything that Joe said, I think you need to reevaluate yourself. I think you need to own it. I think you need to know that you're a mischievous little fuck and just jam more Spore Frog. Put him in random decks. Just acknowledge that part of yourself and express it through this little cute guy.
You've been called the schemer before by
have.
some other
That's
people
true.
in our pod. That's been a title you've earned, and I do think a part of that comes from you getting on a silver platter your ideal typal commander in Grolnok and then refusing it, and then getting an entire second helping of that same effect. Like a little political Machiavelli, you just get to pull the strings of Gavin Verhey and Mark Rosewater and get everything you want. Versus me, who's going to talk about two different creature types today that have zero support, get nothing. You infuriate me, and that's why we're feuding.
Yeah, we're feuding this episode, which is, I mean, I could
Yeah,
I
they're
could
gonna
talk
fight.
about Clement, all day. I could talk about a ton of other frogs, but I
Bobby,
won't right now, because I could make a deck tech. I could do whatever. You could watch the
yeah.
Siege of Burvale on Edswell Tales. I play the cute little frog. He's awesome. But enough of that. Joe, we may be feuding, but I want to hear what creature type you bring to the table. If you claim that you're all high and mighty here, what do you have? What gross card are you going to show us and have to defend today?
Bobby, as much as I would love to drag you through the dirt as the actual number one typo player in this format, at least out of the three of us, Ev, I think you had a little edge you wanted to get in, just to rub a little more
Oh yeah,
salt and
Oh,
dirt
of
and
course.
piss in his wound. Then
Bobby.
I'm gonna thrash him.
Yeah, before I sick Joe on you like a rabid
Yeah.
dog, I think my comment will unleash him on you like is it Judas Hellhound?
Taysack?
Yeah, unleash. Anyhow, uh, for a long time you had a frog deck without Clement, and you neglected to run Grolnok. Would you like to tell our wonderful listeners who your commander of your frog deck was previous to the introduction of the wonderful plane of Bloomburrow that we all love and adore? That has caused uh, many an argument within just
Yeah.
the three of us,
And
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 us
I
threatening
will.
to hit you with hammers
And I will. I
into your
think
kneecaps.
it's still in the deck list, which I think is sign enough that this was a true frog card all along. Grolnok cares about like milling and exiling and croak counters. That's not what frogs want to do. You look at the frog cards, it's never what they wanted to do. Frogs wanted to bounce. They wanted to hop. That was where the designers' minds went, in Bloomburrow. And clearly, if you care about that, you want some enter the battlefields, synergy. So say it with me, audience. The commander of my frog deck was Lonus, cryptozoologist. Makes clues, fair and balanced magic. You crack them, you draw cards. 2 mana. You play that on two. You play all your other frogs on 3, which is where the majority of frogs sat before Bloomburrow. It was a fun time, and I missed that deck. I still have that list on Moxfield, but I'm glad Clement was printed. But Lonus is still in that deck, and when you play it, it's still a house. No one expects Lonus Cryptozoologist, but it's mean. You make everyone else's creatures frogs. You peer pressure them, and you take all of them. And you'll cast Spore Frog, and everyone will want to be your friend. It's just like that.
Lonus might be a house, but it's certainly not a frog. I think before Joe bites your jugular out with his teeth, we can move on to whatever creature type he has prepped for us this
I'm not
evening.
gonna I'm not gonna waste all our time dissecting this. I'm gonna throw a little shade to mention. I think this is a really interesting subject for our episodes because we have a gambit here running through us. We have Bobby, not at all a tribal or kindred or typal, depending on your era and your parlance player. He dips into it. Like they play
Yeah.
knights, zombies on and off, kind of, sort of. But it's not their main bread and butter. Ev plays a fair amount of decks that focus on creature types, but it's not really his personality, right? Like his thing is chaining, is big explosive spells. Me, I'm a synergy package, baby. Okay, even my non-typal decks play like typal decks. I want nothing more than have 10 cards on the battlefield with art that matches each other, and then not swing any of them because I want to look at them all right there. So I've been waiting for strange, weird, niche creature types to get support for as long as I've been into the game. We'll deal with the saga that is my first ever commander deck once we reach that type. But from Bruce Tarl, roving rancher, to Urtet, who we'll talk about a little bit later, whenever a strange creature type gets a bit of love and show in the spotlight, I adore it. Except for one time. Now, dear listeners, my first creature and associated creature type I'm going to talk about today is Truffle Snout for boars. Truffle Snout is my personal favorite card in Magic the Gathering. I know that's a bit strange to say, especially somebody likes weird, niche, old garbage. But Truffle Snout is a beautiful card because it's just a little delight that was designed as a common for a limited set. And it ended up capturing my heart just because of the wonderful, beautiful artistry of Jason Kang's piece here. That's actually the background to my laptop. That art has been greeting me every single time I open my computer for every Bogstompers episode. There's so much to be said about gaining life and putting counters on things. Two things you want to do in green, and especially green-white, my personal favorite color identity. But we don't need to waste too much time on this 3-mana 2-choose mechanics to just discuss how beautiful this little pig is. Shout out to the other Truffle Snouts, by the way, because much like Witch Stalkers that were first premiered in a core set and then given a bit more attention when we visited Eldraine, Intrepid Truffle Snout and Eager Truffle Snout further reinforced the presence of Truffle Snouts and gave them a home plane of Eldraine, my favorite plane. This is everything I love. I love this boy so bad. If I could get a playmat of Truffle Snout, I would spend multiple paychecks worth on it. I do have some more honorable mention pigs to maybe bring up if the discussion warrants it, because we don't have a lot of time that we can spend on Truffle Snout, given its relative simplicity. But if you guys have any remarks to make on this beautiful little pig, I want to hear them.
First of all, love Truffle Snout. Big Truffle Snout head over here. Partially because of how much you enjoy it. And I like seeing my friends like things. Specifically when they're little piggies. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a good card. It's by no means a bad card. You ran an illegal number of them in a Magic deck for a brief while, which was entertaining and fun. You went, I'm missing cards for this deck. Can I run 5 Truffle Snouts, 4 Truffle Snouts? And everyone did you ask or no? Or did you just play a second Truffle Snout?
I said it. That is actually, to be fair, we do have a lot of Truffle Snouts tangents to go on, but once I did, in fact, brew a fungus deck, and I just was making live edits in my Card Kingdom cart, just in the moment, randomly, and somewhere along the way, between Moxfield and Card Kingdom, 5 cards just vanished. And Truffle Snout is the card that I fill up my cart with to get free shipping. So I have, between all 3 Truffle Snouts, I think I have 12. But most of those are the OG.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great card. It's a great boar. I don't want to make you too angry about the playable boars in Magic, at least in paper Magic. So Bobby, what do you think about Truffle Snout?
I don't have many Truffle Snout thoughts. I have boar thoughts. Can I allow me to put in some boar thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to mention the noble lineage of Coal Hauler Swine and Brindle Shoat and Flint Hoof Boar and the other many boars in Magic, I could talk about boars all day. But we can't. We have a podcast to record.
I was gonna ask, like, okay, I got into a conversation with my friends a few days ago about them, because dogs and hounds have been dogs for a while in Magic now, but this friend, hadn't bought a ton of new cards until Tarkir came out a few weeks ago, and was a little like, oh, why are the Einok dogs now? That's weird. And I was like, well, like, the Leonin have been cats forever, So I'm wondering why is it cat, dog, and boar when it could be cat, dog, and pig? Would you support a Truffle Snout pig rebrand, or is part of it like the boar gives you, like, I don't know, like how do you feel about the boar? Like if Zertal Swine became a pig, Zertal Swine, love that card, came in my first deck. If that card was a pig, that'd be great. I'd support the change.
I think you are looking at this a little wrong.
Sure.
You're comparing dogs and cats to boar, when really you should be comparing ox to boar. Oxes in Magic, whether they be
Yeah.
yaks or cows or bulls, are all that unified type, and the same is true for boars. Hound is a kind of dog. That's why we have the phrase hound dog. It's not all dogs. You couldn't call like a little terrier a hound, or like a chihuahua a hound, which I think is a more accurate way of. You might be able to call a terrier a hound. I don't know what a hound is off the top of my head. But boars, a wild boar is not a pig.
Sure.
But a domesticated pig is a kind of boar.
A hound, for our curious listeners, is a dog of a breed used for hunting, especially when able to track by scent.
And Ev just knows that.
Yeah, so
That's just something Evan
Yeah,
knows off the top of his head.
I got that one up here, locked and loaded, ready to go. Did not Google it. No way, no how.
Ev, famously big fan of dogs, owner of a dog.
Bowser could eat a lot of small dogs, to be fair. He's a big boy.
But yeah, before we transition on there, I do have two quick mentions because I did lampshade it. I know you didn't want to piss me off, Ev. Unfortunately, you're gonna.
Oh, no, I knew you were going to talk about it. That was the segue for you.
The deep, sweaty hatred I have, which notably has been brought up in previous episodes, for Alchemy Eldraine and Alchemy Bloomburrow, for introducing Boar Kindred, the Boar deck, burns through my veins. Between Porcine Portent, Drover of Swine, Fellhide Rotboar, first little pig, second little pig, third little pig. We have this entire archetype in Alchemy, and it might be good. I don't know. I don't play Alchemy. Nobody does. The only people who play Alchemy do it unwillingly, because it was in their historic brawl. I genuinely am feeling my body temperature rise as I speak in this moment. I'm fine if WotC looks me in the eyes and says, fuck you, no boars. I can cope. I can seethe, I can mauld. However, when they say, yes, boars, but only in this experience you are not a part of and have no interest in being a part of, and also doesn't have a physical collecting component that has resale value so you can gamble, your favorite thing, you love gambling. Pull the slots, baby. It honestly, I lay in bed at night sometimes remembering this exists, and I get angry. To calm me down, I do want to also call attention, 2 seconds here, to my favorite almost boar, my favorite wannabe boar, my favorite nearest boar. And that's my boy, Secret Lair Drop Thragtusk. So clearly a boar. Very visually clearly a boar.
That's a
But
boar.
can't be a boar, because the original isn't.
Yeah.
I do have this in a deck. It's a secret deck that I have not shown the co-hosts of my podcast, and they will find out about this deck next time we play.
Exciting.
All right. Ev, you are
Yes.
the master of this episode, the master of your domain,
That's true.
the master of a big, beautiful feline named Bowser.
Correct.
What is our next subject for this episode?
What would be my creature? And my first creature type. I'm going to bring us back to the plane of Bloomburrow, where Bobby talked about frogs
Hell
for just a little
yeah.
bit for us. And I'm going to talk about an addition to one of my decks that I took from Bloomburrow to turn my Veyron Voice of Duality deck into less of an asshole deck to play against, and turned it instead into an Alania Divergent Storm deck to fill it with the adorable otters that populate this lovely plane. So,
Yeah, Bobby could take some notes from that decision.
I know.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I will still say there are still some really gross cards in that deck. It's just isn't good stuff after that, and I love playing it. It's so much fun for me. I know it's sometimes miserable.
And
to
we play against it.
Woohoo! Anyways, favorite otter. Is this a great otter? I don't know, but I like it quite a lot. I think it's fun, especially with Alania out. We're gonna talk about Darien Wave Rider. Darien Wave Rider is a 6-mana otter, 4 and 2 blue. Is an otter wizard. It reads, When this creature enters, you may cast target instant or sorcery spell with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. I think this is a great spell. Maybe a little on the expensive side, but mid to late game in your commander game. For me personally, if I have Alania out and I have this creature out, I cast this first. I get 2 triggers off of it. I can then also copy the instant sorcery I cast also with Alania. A lot of good value in this creature. It makes 2 bodies, 2 otters. Also, they're surfing, and I think that's delightful. Yeah, I think it's a fun otter to play. Maybe not the best out of all the otters they've put in Bloom Burrows. There's some other standouts I could talk about, but it's one that I just kind of like to see resolve a lot. And I think is kind of the maybe not the least impressive of what the ones they printed. Obviously it's not like a Bria or a Kitsa, but it's a fun one, and I think it has a lot of good value in it.
This is a really cool card. Otter Snapcaster, except
That's what I was gonna say.
it's not like a Snapcaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And copying it with Alania is super sweet.
I mean, to be fair, of all otters, it is the most like a Snapcaster.
It is. That's true. More expensive, I believe. Maybe I'm not remembering.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Far more expensive.
But you don't have to pay to cast the spell, right? So like,
That's true. That's
really,
true.
they should
It
be playing
balances
this in modern. I don't know why they aren't.
Yeah, they are playing the 6 mana otter instead.
Think about this with like Tron. Pretty good.
This could break formats.
Let's just say I have a foil copy sitting around, and those foil multiplier is gonna go way up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No Pringling for you.
No, it's a good foil.
Do you actually? Fun fact about this card: do you guys know what piece of Bloomburrow product packaging this featured on?
I'm gonna say
I don't.
you could buy like the 20 cards of one color. I forget what they're called.
No,
Oh.
you can't do that anymore. It was discontinued like 2 years ago.
Sure. You could buy the token, like the token set, like the Walmart thing. I don't remember what it was.
No,
Talking about
that's
the tin set either.
it wasn't
Tin
on
set,
there.
no.
I have one of those. I have the Runaway Together one. I would have bought the Jerry Wave Rider one if I had the option, but the other one's still very cute. I don't know. I actually am not sure, and I feel like a poser now because I don't know. And this is one of my favorite creature types.
Don't worry, it was on the value booster from Dollar
sure.
Stores.
Oh.
It was from
Okay.
the 6-card value boosters that did not have a guaranteed rare for
I no longer
$2. I don't think it had an MSRP, but
I no longer feel like a poser. Yeah, there are a lot of other good otters I can also shout out, like Joe was talking about with boars. Talked about Bria and Kitsa. They're both gross. Kitsa's doing nasty things in standard, if my memory serves correctly. And Bria gives everything prowess and makes it unblockable, which is I had briefly as the commander to my otter deck for a little while, and I was like, this isn't fun, and I made Lilanian's deck because she cares about otters.
I mean, Kitsa is eternal playable. Like it's a JVP.
Yeah,
like this is a
super
really
good.
serious card.
Yeah, brittle.
I one time had a serious conversation about, speaking of otters, about Lutri, with
Yeah.
someone who thought Lutri should not be banned in Commander, which is a crazy take. This player did play Izzet almost exclusively, so I guess that makes sense.
I will say on the Lutri topic, I don't want to play as the companion, because obviously that's fun. Like, if there's no companion thing, it's like stupid. I wish I could play in the 99 of my otter deck.
Yeah.
But that's specific to me playing otters. I just want another otter to play.
Can I
Like, that's
introduce
not-
you
I-
to Dualcaster Mage?
Not an
I
otter.
do actually have a question for you. Do you run Aeon Frolicker in otters?
I don't. I need to buy a copy of it. I was like so Bloomburrow pilled when I was like retooling my variant deck. I was like, only Bloomburrow otters. Frolicking Familiars in there from Eldraine, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
We could also mention otters does have a similar issue to boars.
I was gonna bring it up because there are a lot of really good otters in Alchemy. Tempest Trapper, I wish I could play, and I'm mad when I see cards that could like so justifiably be printed in Alchemy. Like there are a couple that can't be, like Interest the Hydrostatic Surge that conjures lightning bolts. Like that can't be run in paper. That's fine, whatever. But when I see stuff like Enduring Friendship, I think that could work totally fine. Accident Prone Apprentice, I love. Tempest Trapper, he's in he's in a scuba suit, and I can't run him, and it makes me so upset. I love exiling spells and adding mana. Like, let me run these in my. Yeah, I have a similar qualms to Joe and Boars with Otters and Alchemy, because there's some great guys in there. I'd love to throw into my Otters deck and cut some of the, gross is it stuff, so I can just make it some more fun Otter nastiness.
We can do a whole episode on what alchemy has stolen from us,
Sure.
and that we deserve to have whatever it's taken, because we're such good little gamers. But that's for the future. I'm not even going to bring up the most recent alchemy card that's coming out soon in the creature type that I'm going to focus on last today. Is in spite of the fact that pisses me off. We'll have to see how it shakes up the metagame and stuff like that.
Sure.
We don't know if this is going live before Alchemy Tarkir comes out, is the joke there. But that, I think, covers Otters pretty succinctly.
I agree.
The opposite of succinctly, actually. We kind of exhausted the topic, which means we're back up to the top. Bobby, what are you showing us?
I think we're going to kick it into high gear here. We've been rambling for a little bit. Like, you come to us for a good ramble down in the bog, but we've hit like the 30-minute mark, and we gotta hit some speed.
It's all
here.
business now.
Yeah. And
you understand the conceit of the episode. We've exhausted these tribes because they are particularly important. The rest two creature types we're doing, we got notes that we need to run down.
And, I said speed. Speed is the name of the game for the Mardu, and they bring us to our next type here, which is goblins. And I know you're wondering, you're like, oh, there's so many good goblins.
I know
Why, Bobby, have you brought us to Tarkir again? I know after last week that Tarkir is your favorite plane. There's all these things you said about Tarkir last week and all of your memories with it. But there's one memory, folks, that I didn't share with you last week, which is about one of the first pre-releases I ever went to, as I said last week, was the Tarkir one. And there was one game where this card was cast against me 4 separate times, and that nightmarish moment has been living rent-free in my head since then. Ladies and gentlemen, and those all around the plains, this is Ponyback Brigade. For 3 and a Mardu, this is a creature goblin warrior, a 2/2, a 6-mana 2/2. This has got to be good, right? It's got to have some crazy ability, and it does. Not only does this have Morph for 5 mana, but when Ponyback Brigade enters or is turned face up, put 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. This is 4 goblins in a trench coat. This is like a siege gang commander if it had Morph. And that's just beautiful. This is a delightful card, and the art is 4 goblins trying to fit onto a pony. And when you die to this card because your opponent has made some dozen goblins and is swinging you all with them, it's what is a poor Obzon player to do, friends? What are your feelings about Ponyback Brigade? Or any other goblins, because goblins are huge, I think, creature type. We could literally spend the next day talking about goblins, and I love goblins. I'm a Labyrinth fan. I have a Labyrinth theme deck, but that's for another episode.
It's such dog shit.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a garbage deck.
I will say, you said goblins in Tarkir, and I briefly thought about my sweet boy Ankle Shanker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're sweet girl. Hey,
girl, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Don't misgender Ankle Shanker.
That one's on me. I apologize to the Ankle Shanker community. Anyhow, I briefly thought you were going to bring up Ankle Shanker. Ponyback Brigade, also awesome. If we had a 4th host, we could rename our podcast, but sadly, we've already commissioned art, and we can't do that.
Ankle Shanker? I hardly know her.
I'll just throw out there. Remember, when you're fighting a morph deck, it's always Exalted Angel, except when it's Willbender, except when it's Ponyback Brigade.
Always.
Okay. Again, we
gotta keep going. We gotta keep going.
I think that's good. I think we're good.
We're going to do an entire Goblins episode.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's more than fair. So I think it's my
back
turn
to
now,
you.
if I recall.
What you got for us?
I have been playing Blue-White Flyers since I started playing the game. It is informally kind of my first deck. It's not the first deck I built out of cards that I ordered and like meant to play. But my Blue-White Bird deck was the first thing that I just cobbled together from my collection and brought to a game. Um, since then, I've played a lot of birds. I played some of the worst birds in the game. I played some of the best birds in the game. I've rotated through an ungodly amount of birds. Um, if there is a bird in the game that is playable or unplayable, I've seen it. And since the end of that long, long list, there's tons that I love. I love Thieving Magpie. I love you, Stormscape Familiar. I've played a Ledger Shredder after Bobby forced me to add it to the deck. My number one bird has to be Aven Brigadier. This is our beautiful Deer Sweet Onslaught block payoff. A 3/5 for 6 mana, triple white, pips. Gives +1/+1 to birds and soldiers and flying. Aven Brigadier may be peak old magic. I have had this thing rot in my hand so many games because I'm missing the third white pip. This thing is easily one of the most expensive lords in the deck. It also buffs soldiers, a thing I have about 5 of in my Kongi deck. By the way, I run old Kongi because I'm cool and actually appreciate typal gameplay, unlike some other posers here talking about, I don't know, like, Bobby, what did you even talk about? What are your tribes?
Lonus?
Clement.
Yeah.
Clement and Lonus and those ridiculous, ghoulish decks. See? They're not even memorable. I'm slamming down the other glove for this feat. But friends, Therans, countrymen, looking at this wonderful bird soldier, what are your thoughts?
My absolutely favorite part about this card is that it is 6 mana. It's 3/4. You know, like sure it'll help buff you. This card just randomly buffing soldiers so often helps your opponents. It's absolutely hilarious. I am of the persuasion that all cards, if they say a specific creature type gets +1/+1, that should apply to everyone. You saw this on the Universes Beyond episode, but I think that should be on every single card. If it buffs frogs, it should buff everyone's frogs. It should reward your opponent for playing frogs. And I think that's why this is like, you know, to pause our feud for half a second, this is a good card for that reason. So often, I say, oh, I'm going to swing in for 20 damage, and Joe says, no, 21, because I randomly have a soldier, and it's hilarious every time. I don't know, it's a good bit, and when your friend wastes their whole turn to guess a 6 mana thing that helps you, it feels pretty good.
It is a joke that never gets old.
Yeah.
It is always really, really funny.
Yeah, it's always good.
It's honestly probably the best being the person who's buffing your enemies. But Ev,
Yeah.
look into the eyes of this gorgeous old Greg Staples art from 2002, and tell me what do you think about it.
I think you need a Sam the Eagle altar.
I
on it
was
because
just gonna say.
It's getting pretty close there, ain't it?
That's actually really funny because I thought we were going to make another comparison to a bird in fiction. Bobby, you've always famously said this looks like my first D&D character that we had in a very long-term campaign.
Oh, true. It does.
My Aarakocra Rogue Paladin. Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
That was a
Okay,
thing we've
yeah.
remarked upon the first time I cast it. All those sunny
Wow.
years ago when we were but young goobers. All right. Birds done. Beautiful type, beautiful cards. Actually supported, unlike my third and final one we'll transition into. We've covered goblins. We've covered otters. Ev, slap
Yes.
something down on the table.
I'm gonna slap something down the table. Joe, you briefly alluded to this creature type before, in weird creature types getting support. I remember being so excited when the commander for this creature type came out. I am of course talking about Mir, my favorite little robots that I think are wonderful and delightful. Obviously helmed by Urtet, the Mir commander that came out. And I would like to talk today about Knighted Mir. Knight Emir, I think, is great. He's a great little mirror trying to become a knight, and there's some counter synergy in Mir. Urtet obviously puts counters on things. You have cards like Mir Scrappling. You can sacrifice to put a counter on. Being able to just give one of your bodies double strike when you activate Urtet's uh, second ability is fantastic. I think he's awesome. He fights like a Leonin according to the flavor text, and I'm a fan. Also has Adapt 1, notably. I should read what the card does. For 2 and a white, you get an artifact creature Mirror Knight. And then for 2 and a white, you can Adapt 1. If it has no counters on it, you can put a counter on it. And then whenever one or more counters are put on, one or more +1/+1 counters, excuse me, are put on Knight and Mirror, it gains double strike until end of turn. It is a 2/2.
I will say, I'm sorry to viewers, actually listeners, audio only folks. We'll dwell on the cards if the rules are relevant, but for some of our cards, that will never
They're
be
not.
the case. So, if you are missing out on something, you absolutely are not.
But yeah, that's Knighted Mirror. I like it. There are a lot of really good mirrors. A lot of them are pretty similar, though they just tap for mana or do something akin to that. So I can't go through every mirror. But I felt like bringing up Knighted Mirror because I quite like its art, and I think it has a fun effect that can be pretty powerful in the deck.
Yeah, I adore this art.
Thoughts, feelings?
This art is it rules. I love
Yeah.
the I don't know, the ramshackleness of it. It looks very Mirren, but still like I don't know, that shield has been to Phyrexian Hell and back. Yeah, this is a great one, and I think Mir are the perfect card to randomly throw in a core set every so often. That I think they'll just
Yes.
keep getting support. It's one of those like Magic unique creature types that whenever anyone gets into Magic, they go, "What the hell is a mirror?" And then they look at it,
And I love them.
Yeah, and they instantly get it. They're not exactly sure what it is, but it's a little guy, and that's all you need to know. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, they're based on ants,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Yeah.
I do actually have a question for you guys. This will be my last little note on Mir. What do you guys think about Mir with jobs? I noticed that was a little
Oh.
discourse on Blue Sky not too long ago.
Yes,
People were
I
talking
want to
about should Mir have jobs?
I want to bring that up actually because I was going to talk about the same thing. I think they should. I was actually thinking about Aether Drift, and I was imagining what if you replaced the Guy Light Voyagers with a group of Mir that had learned to learn to race. I think that would have been awesome. Like it would have fit the whole artifact theme still. Could have been in Azorius as opposed to just adding like these new random robots in. I think having a group of Mir that decided their purpose post the fall of Mirrodin looking for new jobs would have been super sweet. Or just having them as pit crews. So I do kind of wish they showed up in Aether Drift and continue to show up across the multiverse and of the Omen paths there have been. So I'm on that side of whatever discourse was going on with them having jobs.
See, I differ from Ev because I do not think about Aether Drift. I never have. I never will. Get it out of here. You could make comparisons out Mir or Pit Droids from Phantom Menace. I don't want to hear it. I think we got to move on. Are we ready to move on from
Oh my
Mir?
god, they do look just like pit droids.
Yeah, they do.
Bobby, go.
Yeah,
Bobby,
okay.
Before I start
go,
drafting
go.
Okay.
Star Wars Universes Beyond, go.
Okay, knights. We're talking about knights. We're talking about Mir Knight. What other knights are there? I originally wasn't going to talk about knights. I was going to talk about Volvers. But, my co-hosts told me, they looked at me dead in the eyes, and they were like, Bobby, everyone already knows Volvers. They see so much play. Talking about Deck Volver would just be repeating what every other podcast is doing right now. They recommended, I play a lot of zombies and knights, they said. And so I did some soul searching. I listened to Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. I wandered the streets of where I live, and I couldn't decide, zombies or knights. But then I thought, why decide on one zombie card or one knight card? Why not pick 9 zombie knight cards? And that's where I came to Josu Ves, Lich Knight. This 4-mana legendary creature zombie knight from Dominaria has kicker for 6. It's a 4/5 with menace. That's right, practically a siege rhino. But when it enters, if it was kicked, you create 8 2/2 black zombie knight creature tokens with menace. This is a beautiful card. I've cast it with kicker all about 1 times in my Alenda and Azor deck, but it rips, and the flavor on this guy, the art on this guy, the design of his helmet, and the tragedy that Liliana has to deal with as she realizes that Belzenlock has taken the corpse of her brother, who she very much raised, all the way back when she ignited her spark. This is such a beautiful card. There's some cards with like emotion to them that you just don't get all the time. Like Knighted Mirror. You can see a little hope in that guy's eyes. Josu Ves, you can see like the death and misery and the onslaught of zombies that is coming towards your opponent. Menace is exactly the right word here. I adored this Dominaria set. I was a little bit ready to give up on Magic before this set came out, and it just took me back in. Legendary Pack was a perfect choice. Always love when they do kind of like a bonus cheat adjacent like thing. And yeah, this card and its appearance and its design is one of the reasons I still play Magic to this day.
I mean, it's a real shame that we don't have. It's a real shame that we don't have 6 other friends, so we could rename the podcast Josu Ves and 8 zombie tokens. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about Liliana's hot brother. Do you have?
Wood.
Yeah, wood.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement. Wood.
Wood.
Moving on.
What that chest cavity do?
Bandwagoner. You don't really. You wouldn't. You would not.
No, you would not.
How dare you?
I
Wrong.
feel
Okay.
like
You're
he'd
wrong.
be too obsessed with his horse. He'd like you'd call him afterwards and be like, "Hey, are we going on a second date?" And he'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm taking care of my
I gotta
horse."
chill with my horse.
Yeah, it's like what?
Date? You're
Good point.
Oh.
Good point.
okay. I thought.
No, fair.
Let's
I know, I've seen-
move on. Let's move on.
I've seen plenty of guys like this on Grindr. Okay.
Joe, what's your last creature type?
Third
What do you
creature
got for
type.
us?
This is the creature type nearest and dearest to my heart. One that I'm very glad that, even though I didn't go to my Tarkir release because I don't have a really friendly local game store. They're either distant or unfriendly. I am still very excited for this set, and excited to actually get more cards in my collection once it actually has its full physical release. Because my first deck that I ordered every card for, I built this deck list in a notebook that I owned. I just sketched in. I wrote down the name of every single card I needed to order and then plugged it into Card Kingdom. Was elephants. Elephants are the best. I love elephants. I've always loved elephants since my great aunt, who I'm with, loved giraffes. So I sort of picked up elephants to fill that void as a little kid. And in my Hamza Guardian of Arash, every single card has an elephant in the art. The card that most convinced me this was a good idea was Honey Mammoth. Honey Mammoth is a 6-mana 6/6 with banging art, and that's all we need to talk about today. I love its goofy little Icorian flavor text, the plane it's from. I love that it gains you life the way that you win the game in Magic, having more life than your opponent. Obviously, that's what every pro player says. It's just one thing that I will fully admit, all my love's on the table, my heart revealed. I am a big World of Warcraft player. I've supported World of Warcraft more of my life than I haven't. It's been integral to my formation as a writer, role playing in the game. Honey Mammoth, with its lack of ears and strange, tough, keratin-like growths, very, very visually appears like the Elec in the game, the elephant-like creatures inhabiting the land of Outland, nay Draenor.
Yeah.
And the Elec, the mounts of the race of the Draenei, which I have wasted like 40 days role-playing worth of hours, are likewise super special to me, and this reminds me of. There's nothing about this card that I don't like. I'm never going to remove it from my elephants deck. I don't care that they're making more and more counters elephants that will synergize better. Late game stabilizer, big body, utter dog shit to draw, but it makes me smile when I look at it. This is the truffle snout of elephants, baby, except for Apothecary Stomper, which is actually the truffle snout of elephants. Yeah, what are our thoughts on Honey Mammoth? My
I
big,
like
beautiful boy. Hell
I like
yeah.
him. Never seen you cast this card ever in my whole entire life. I like him a
Yep,
lot.
because I don't play elephants anymore. Let's go.
Yeah, I
I
know.
thought you were gonna talk about Thorn Mammoth, like that was
That actually
always
was my second pick.
yeah. That's a brutal card. Like I feel like oftentimes Joe will bring out elephants and everyone will laugh and be like, "Wow, this is a silly bit," and then he plays turn 5 Spell Tithe Enforcer, and then turn 6 Hamza and turn 7 Thorn Mammoth, and it's really annoying. It's good.
It's a brutal set of cards. Yeah. Thorn Mammoth was up there. I do love Thorn Mammoth. I've considered running it in like Fight Club style decks.
Yeah.
I've been looking at building. It's a big body. It's a great way to lock shit down in green. Weirdly, not a plant. I don't understand that. It should be a plant. We were trying to build a plant deck the other day, me and Ev,
Yeah.
for one of his friends, and Thorn Mammoth, miraculously, not a plant, even though it's made of thorns. Whatever.
It's weird.
I do love Thorn Mammoth. Thorn Mammoth was actually my second pick. I didn't have that same kind of connection to. Some people might be noticing. I love art. The art of the card. I do like it. Don't get me wrong. Great elephant. It's the number 2 elephant, but this is my number 1.
I'm excited for you to
All right.
revamp the elephants deck. I think
Me too.
just like frogs, God at the time of the sun, it doesn't have to run a new rid scavenger anymore. I hope elephants gets its day. Yeah,
Me too.
I have a list brewing. I have some bits and pieces running around. Will I waste $50 on a Cavern of Souls? Absolutely. I have disposable income that you guys don't. But yeah, I've been tinkering. I've been working in the background. I've got a few non-elephants I might want to throw in to support
Whoa.
my big beautiful creatures. Because you guys are honorless knaves when it comes to your typal strategies that just run good cards, unlike me who runs the worst garbage you've ever seen.
Hey,
But we're working through it. We're
I'll
posting
have
through
you
it.
know. I'll have you know. I bought the Commander Sphere arch with a frog on it from Secret Lair way before it spiked because of Bloomburrow. That card's like $8 now. It wasn't always. It was a
Congratulations.
really terrible
Buddy.
Secret Lair when it came out. It's a bad card. Shouldn't be in my
Buddy.
deck, but it's funny.
But, buddy, I bought the Commander Collection Green Soul Ring for elephants. So how about you step off for a minute?
I have the Bloomburrow one for otters.
That's fair.
So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that was the
Now we
best
can-
I could do in that conversation.
We can stop flexing our creds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ev,
Yeah,
I already know this one because you don't stop talking about how much you love this card. And honest to God, I do too. I love the set it's from. I think it's a beautiful piece.
you know what card I'm going to talk about?
Of course I do.
I don't
So
think
please
you do, Joey.
introduce it. Really?
I don't think you do.
Okay, surprise me. Shock me.
I'll be honest. I broke the rules a tiny bit for this one, just a little bit.
We're gonna kick him off the podcast. It's over.
There are a lot of good apes in Magic. You got your towering gibbons. You have your simian spirit guides. You have Utabi orangutans. But I would like to talk about a card that does not necessarily start as an ape, but instead turns into one after a certain condition is met.
Oh.
We all have some giggles whenever I play
Yeah.
this card. But I would like to bring up to all of you Hidden Gibbons. Now, for the viewers at
I'm
home,
shocked. I thought you were going to talk about your big beautiful
Towering
Gibbon
Gibbon.
boy. I thought you were talking about Towering Gibbon.
I love Towering Gibbon, and I will give Towering Gibbon a shout out momentarily. But I love Hidden Gibbons because people go, "Wait, what?" Whenever you cast it, because it's not very good. It's not a creature yet, but it could be. It's got potential. Hidden Gibbons is a 1-mana enchantment, and it reads: when one of your opponents successfully casts an instant or interrupt spell, if Hidden Gibbons is an enchantment, Hidden Gibbons becomes a 4/4 creature that counts as an ape. The flavor text reads, because this is important: when these apes want something, it's a matter of give and take.
Incredible.
Now,
So, viewers, listeners, should we send
Walker.
Ev back to the cave for failing to adhere to the rules
Hey,
of this
hey.
episode?
these were my own rules.
Oh,
allowed
to-
you're
I'm
right.
allowed to break my own rules.
That's how it
He
works.
is allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about Tower and Gibbon. Tower and Gibbon's effect, don't care. The flavor text I love. It's a big gibbon on a tower. It's from it's from Jumpstart. It says,
from
"Don't worry,
Jumpstart.
folks. We're perfectly safe here." That's a banana processing plant, and I think that's delightful. Anyways, Hidden Gibbons. I remember playing Hidden Gibbons and giggling with you guys about it. I have fond memories of playing Hidden Gibbons, and it never resolving as a monkey because no one cast an instant for like a really long time. But you know what? It's a bunch of hiding monkeys, and maybe one day I'll get like a turn 1/4/4 if someone has an instant to play on turn 1. If someone brainstorms wrong.
I mean, that makes sense that you've never actually got it to be a monkey because we're so scared of that hidden gibbon.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yeah,
can't.
They're so scary, dude. They're so strong and powerful.
I think it's fitting that
That's
we.
a horrible threat.
Yeah, I think it's fitting that we started and ended this episode talking about a 1-mana green card that has an onboard ability that no one wants to trigger. This is essentially
true.
counter every single instant everyone would cast because no one wants that 4/4
That's
coming
correct.
at them.
No one wants the 4/4
Yeah.
gibbon.
I think
That could potentially get huge with Kibo as my commander.
they print this into Modern and see what happens. I think they print this in Modern Horizons 4 or whatever because they've been like doing the retro cards in Modern Horizons, making the Modern legal. I think they put it into Modern and just see what happens. I
How do
think
you
one
think this
mana
affects-
4/4s wouldn't be bad, and people cast instants in Modern, to my
A
understanding.
lot of instances, yeah.
How do you think this affects Boros energy?
I mean, what do you do?
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Actually, this bit's fucking dumb, and we're moving on. Thank you.
I would like to bring up. Do you guys know there's a creature ape that's in the Sultai color identity?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
There's
There's
Savage
multiple.
Gorilla. Sorry. Specifically with Sultai color.
Oh,
on its
all
card.
three.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Savage
I
Gorilla.
know there one's in black. I hadn't seen when I've built Kibo, so I've only seen the mono green apes or the mono red apes. So I've never seen Savage Gorilla until looking through Skyfall today.
Wow.
That was one of the failings of Tarkir. Unfortunately, we only got a colorless ape and a black ape, and the
Yeah.
colorless one sucks.
Yeah.
So Kibo didn't get a new monkey.
It is reach.
That's okay. Kibo has enough toys. It has.
Well, I mean,
Kibo's-
you got a blue. You got one in Duskmorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
And I got two in the set that shall not be named that Bobby doesn't want to hear about.
It's not that I don't want to hear about it. It's that I can't think about it. Like, physically. You could say the words Aether Drift
Although-
to me, and I wouldn't recognize it as the Magic the Gathering set in my brain.
I don't think I run Fang Druid Summoner and Apes because there are no vanilla creatures to tutor for.
Yeah, there's no point
Yeah.
in doing that. Because that's a
Yeah,
bad
Fang-
idea.
Anyways, Fang Guardian's great.
Yeah.
And
but
your
I
decisions
think
are only good ones.
that's true. I think that brings us to the end of this lovely episode we've recorded here in just now.
Do we have any...
Have we already covered 9 cards?
Yeah. Do we have any
Yeah.
general thoughts about...
More.
Like Kindred? I like that we've been kind of wrapping these up with, our general takes on Universes Beyond, on obscure cards, on kind of Tarkir. What do we have to say about Kindred? Any What have we learned? I like that our episodes have morals to them. That's
you
something
know,
you don't
we're like
see on a lot of
obsessed.
podcasts.
We have after school special. We're
Yeah.
the after school
Yeah, yeah.
special of Magic the Gathering podcasts.
Awesome. I'll say I think I want to do this episode first of all because we all have favorite creatures that we love talking about, but also it gives our viewers a little bit of an insight into us and how we like to play Magic. I think all of the cards that were chosen and showed today gives those our lovely viewers at home or on the road or wherever they're at insights into how we play. Bobby, you brought up a great point before that kindred decks are a great way currently to get people into Magic, and so I think Magic leaning into some of that support allows for people to like continue to onboard new players. Like Bloom, I remember going to my Bloomborough pre-release, and I think I've talked about this on a different episode. But like, there were a bunch of new players there, right? And they were like, "Oh, awesome, cute creatures! I'm gonna come play Magic and try this out because I see all these awesome frogs, or all these awesome otters, or all these awesome bats." So I think it's something that Magic will continue to do because it's popular, and should continue to do because it brings on new players and keeps older players engrossed when their weird creatures get that support they've finally been waiting for.
Bobby, was our experience too at pre-release, wasn't it? We also because we went together,
Yeah.
because it just worked out with our schedules.
I was elsewhere.
That was also your experience. Our experience at pre-release was running into a bunch of new players too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bloomborough was, I think, a huge hit. I think not just because it touched a different demographic of people, but because it fit into kindred theme. I same with Tarkir when we I know we talked about this last week, but I don't know, like there is some degree that the dragon synergies that you could find across all 5 colors were a big factor in why people like the set. People like factions,
Yeah.
people like aesthetics, and people like kindred. And Tarkir worked really well as a set for me because it had a lot of those. And I think a lot of sets
Yeah.
happen to have a lot of those that work really well. I think they tried the same thing with Kaldheim, and the one thing people wanted from Kaldheim was just more of it because Kaldheim ruled, but they didn't have enough room to do all that they wanted to do. So I think if Magic designers learn to really give space, give a lot of types. We saw this in Lorwyn Block. They had 4 sets to do types with, and we saw them get into things like archers and shamans and such. And that being able to delve in there and really grab a hold of random creature types is one of the most fun things. I know we designed a custom cube a few years ago, and something we set out to do was have as many unique creature types as we could in there. So I kind of went into this bog, as it were, of orbs and balloons and volvers and such. There's a lot of cool creature types out there that are unique to Magic, like Mir, that I think people deserve to see, and hopefully they get their time in the sun. I'm really glad things like Urtet exist, and I wonder if we're kind of gone with new creature types because we have things like Universes Beyond that we have to appease that are taking up a lot of real estate in the kind of kindred archetype, as it were.
I'm very thankful to hear that we all experienced that at Bloomborough pre-release, and that wasn't just me losing every match and being placed against the new players. Yeah, I think that there's actually something to be said about Universes Beyond and how it interfaces in with Kindred strategies, especially because, with things like Shelob and the Hobbits, we got to see creature types that originate in Magic, like spiders and halflings, get a lot more presence. There's also the Simic, not Simic, Selesnya insect commander in the Doctor Who precons. I'm not opposed to this. I don't think it's great in instances like Assassin's Creed, where the type is now completely overshadowed by a Universe Beyond IP. But giving a commander to a type that is a fan favorite, but lacking in legendary creatures, I think is a really healthy way to outside IPs influencing Magic. My Treefolk deck, I love Treefolk. I've always loved Treefolk. Shout out to my girlfriend Tracy Tree, and also my husband Fangorn, is led by Treebeard, which, all in all, makes me sort of circle around to all the other stuff we've talked about as of late. The fact that this revisits our first episode talking about just cards we love. I think that there's so many more hours that we are going to waste on creature types in the future. We're going to come rotate around onto them. In the interim, you guys might soon hear from me. I have a lot of thoughts about the evolution of tribe to type to kindred. As somebody from Native American descent, I have a lot of thoughts on the way that that was represented in Magic, and we do have an project to touch on that. But until we zoom back in on that future installment of the Bogstompers expanded universe content, I think, all in all, tribes, types, kindreds, pretty cool thing in Magic. Great introductory tool. Great thing to hang your hat on. Is that all, folks?
I think so.
I just want to say, guys, we finally made a whole episode without talking about Spider-Man. Isn't that pretty cool?
God damn it! Fuck, I can't believe you would ruin our streak. Alright, that's it for this week. We'll see you 2 weeks from now, depending on the release schedule. Sometimes we have to accommodate things like pre-release nights to get more content straight to you folks. We'll be back. They'll probably tell more stories about the gameplay they've experienced while I'll ramble on about the money I've spent in the range of thousands of dollars on booster packs of Murders at Karlov Manor and single copies of Truffle Snout as Card Kingdom orders. But that's all for today, folks. You know where to find us on Instagram, Blue Sky, now Spotify. After a little musical interlude here, we'll have a brief few words on what's coming down the pipeline and who did what for the episode. But until then, play us off. And then Alicia's music plays.
Yeah.
That's not it. I just making up a
No, it's
song.
pretty close.
It wasn't.
That
It's
was
Bobby,
good.
you're flattering me.
It's so far.
No, it was
It's
not at
super
all.
was not, but it really wasn't.
Bogstompers, a Magic the Gathering podcast, features art by Jay Howley. You can find him at The Howley on Instagram. Our theme song is written by Alicia Chapman. Bobby Fasciano edits these and gets them online. Hey, that's me. None of this would be possible without viewers like you, so thank you, and see you in the bog again very soon. Peace.